Hi, welcome to DL's Walk Double Drill Podcast. I'm your host, DL's Walk. And I hope everybody is having a good Tuesday night. It's nice and warm and rainy where I am. I hope the weather's nice where everybody else is. And I just want to let everybody know that when you come on here and when you see me live, make sure you like, subscribe, and share the show because it helps a brother out. So please like, subscribe, and share my show because it helps me out. And I love to be on here talking to you guys what I love talking about more than anything. NBA basketball, sports, whether it's Detroit sports, which I love, or whether it's other teams in the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, hockey, golf, professional wrestling, whatever it is. Please tune in to DL's Watch Double Drill Podcast. But before I get to that Game 7 embarrassment loss by Detroit Pistons, there is some breaking news in the world of the NBA. The Dallas Mavericks have fired head coach Jason Kidd today by new president of basketball operations, Yuri. Don't want to pronounce his name. It came out of surprise. So, according to Shams, Jason Kidd is out of head coach of the Dallas Mavericks after 5 seasons in what the team described as a mutual decision Tuesday evening. Kidd has 4 years and $40 million remaining on his contract, sources told ESPN. But the Mavericks governor, Patrick Dumont, who extended Kidd contract during the Dallas finals run back in 24 and again before last season, after the Mavs declined the New York Knicks' request to interview Jason Kidd. The Mavs governor gave new president Masai Ujiri full authorization to determine the head coach's future with the franchise. As we evaluate the future of our basketball program, we believe this is the right moment for a new direction for our team, Ujiri said in a statement. We have high expectations for this franchise and responsibility to build a basketball organization capable of sustained championship contention. We will conduct a thoroughly disciplined search for our next head coach and continue to evaluate our entire basketball operations staff to ensure we compete at the standard the Mavs fans expected and deserve. Sources said that Kidd had expressed a desire to be promoted to president of basketball operations after general manager Nico Harrison was fired in November, but Dumont informed Kidd months ago that he wouldn't be considered for the front office job. Kidd has kept out of the loop in the process that resulted in Ujiri hiring, sources said. During his May 5th introductory news conference in Dallas, Ujiri was made a non-commitment, I should say, when asked whether the Kidd will continue as the Mavs head coach. Although Ujiri noted that he kept Carl George in Denver and Dwayne Casey in Toronto when he began his previous 2 stints as franchise lead basketball executive. He said, and I quote, "He's done a great job, but we are going to look at this thing from head to toe," Ujiri said. That's the right way to look at an organization and evaluate in every single way we can. Kidd had a 205 record during his 5-year tenure at the helm of the Mavericks, and with 22-18 in the playoffs under Kidd, advancing to the 2022 Western Conference Finals and the 2024 NBA Finals. The Mavs made a shocking pivot months after their finals run, trading face of the franchise Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers for a package headlined by Anthony Davis in February 2025. It was a disastrous deal that led to Harrison fired 8 months later. Kidd has insisted that he wasn't aware of the deal until the 11th hour, doubling down on that explanation early April after minority owner Mark Cuban appeared on a podcast and accused Kidd of being directly involved in the decision to trade Luka. Kidd's frustration with Luka frequently conditioning issues were well known throughout the organization. But Luka drove winning in Dallas. Under Kidd, the Mavs had a 136-87 record with Luka in the lineup and was 69-118 without him. That included a 26-56 record last season when the off-injured David was traded to the Washington Wizards at the deadline in a deal designed to create financial flexibility for a rebuild around Cooper Flag, the number one pick last year, and Rookie of the Year. Jason Kidd is a Hall of Fame point guard, was drafted by the Mavericks in 1994, and played a crucial role in the franchise lone championship in 2011 during his second stint with the team. Kidd has a 388-395 record as a head coach, having begun his coaching career with the Brooklyn Nets in 2013, immediately at his retirement as a player, and coaching the Milwaukee Bucks from 2014 to 2018. Not surprised by this happening. New basketball president operation probably want to bring in his own guy in, his own staff in. He want to clean house, get rid of the stench that's in the office of the Dallas Mavericks. Look, it's unfortunate that Jason Kidd lost his job. That is the part that I can sympathize with. He lost his job. I'm quite sure that Jason Kidd will land on his feet, but also quite sure that Jason Kidd kind of figured this was coming because a new guy coming in, he was non-committal to you being the head coach for next season. His writing was on the wall. Actually, if you want to take a step further, his writing was on the wall when Nico Harrison got fired and by his complaining of Luka's conditioning throughout the years he coached Luka. So you can see the writing was on the wall. The owner didn't want to fire Jason Kidd. So he got in the new president, Messiah, cleaned house. Now I expect him to clean more of the house, get rid of a lot of people who was here. I expect him to bring in his own people. And this Dallas Mavericks franchise is going to look very different. I can sit here and say they got the right man for the job to do. He has rebuilt the Denver Nuggets, made it to a powerhouse, left there, made the Toronto Raptors to a powerhouse, and actually won a championship with the Toronto Raptors. So who the next head coach going to be for the Dallas Mavericks? We don't know. I'm quite sure it's going to be someone that's going to help develop Cooper Flag, and he's going to put the pieces around Cooper Flag. But I will say this, the Dallas Mavericks do not own their draft pick after this year. So I don't expect them to be in a full rebuild after this season. I expect that the talent that they're going to add is going to be somewhere between tier 2 to tier 3 free agents. Just because they don't own their draft pick until 2029 after this year. So this whole thing is about putting the pieces together, having the right coach for Cooper Flag. And again, just want to clean house, get rid of the stench. They'll start fresh, they'll start new. Let's rebuild this franchise from the ground up. And like I said, they got the right guy for the job. Jason Kidd, I hope he lands on his feet. There will be some coaching vacancies out here, and I'm quite sure he'll be a top candidate for one of these jobs. We do see that the Chicago Bulls need a new head coach. We don't know who's front runner for that. It's all but certain that Billy Donovan's going to get that Orlando Magic job. Taylor Jenkins got this new head coach in the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll see what's going to happen anywhere around the NBA if any jobs will come available. So if Jason Kidd doesn't get a job, I'm quite sure we'll see him on TV, or he can go to college route. We don't know, or he can take a year off and come back and see what's available next season. It seems like to me that Jason Kidd was more interested in working the front office job, and maybe a front office job will come up, but we will see. So I will keep my eye out and pay attention to the story. Since all the noise is kind of quiet down and everybody is somewhat set in the realization of that embarrassment loss by Detroit Pistons in Game 7 to the Cleveland Cavaliers, they lost by 31 points. It was not a basketball game. And, all the emotion, I'm hoping all the fans got all that out of their system after the day. I was going to do this show yesterday, but I didn't want to because the emotions were still high. I know people were still upset. I know I was upset and disappointed where they play. I mean, they lost 125-94. They lost by 31 points to a team that I can sit here and say that it's not that much better than they are, but they played better than they did. That game 7 was an embarrassment for a team that had aspirations to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. That Sunday game was embarrassment because a team that takes pride in effort and defense and playing harder than any other team, we didn't see that yesterday. That looked like a team on Sunday that was out of gas, a team on Sunday that were missing a lot of assignments on the defensive end, and a team that was exposed for two things. One, we already know about their shooting, they couldn't hit a shot. And two, a team that was exposed that they don't have good individual defensive players. That's why when you watch the tape of that game, they was going after Tobias Harris. They was going after Jalen Duren. And it was a hard watch. This game was over with, in my opinion, in the second quarter. It was over. Actually, you want to say that it was over before that because when the Pistons were down by 6, down by 7, they couldn't close the gap. They had wide open shots. They couldn't hit it. They picked the wrong time to play their worst game. And I don't want this loss to be that bad taste in their mouth where I don't want this loss to kill their confidence. I don't want this loss to hurt this team coming into next season. Now, I don't know about you guys, but you hear a lot of people make a lot of these NBA podcasts and giving their own thoughts. You know, hey, the basketball guys finally made things right. The basketball guys struck down the Detroit Pistons because they was playing with house money or any negativity. Let me tell you something. The basketball guys did not come down on the Detroit Pistons. And let's get that straight right now. The basketball guys did not punish the Pistons. And if you hear anybody here saying, hey, they got embarrassed on their home court and they think that's a good thing, turn them off. Nobody likes to be embarrassed. And nobody likes to play bad and be pointed out and being told how bad y'all play. As a fan base, as a fan, we knew how bad this offense is. We knew that there's no shooters on this team. We knew that. We knew that this team was going to go as far as they can based on their defense. We knew that. But to sit here and say the basketball guys struck down on the Detroit Pistons because they were a fraud number 1 seed and that they're a good team, a good story team, but not a great team. They're a team that's flawed in every way. Yeah, they were flawed, but they weren't frauds. It's amazing how people would say this stuff when they lose. But if they were to win, what were they able to say? It's funny how people have friends or family who are Piston fans, and you come out, I like the Pistons. I'm a fan of the Pistons. But you put out something like that, when you say stuff like that, it makes me wonder, are you a Piston fan? You see, you can be a realist and be honest, or you just be a hater. That's all I'm saying. If you look at this season in the eyes of the front office, this was a successful season. They didn't expect this team to win 60 games. They expect this team, they weren't expecting this team to play at the high level that they played. That was not expected by this young team. This team, the front office did not set a win mark. They didn't think this team was going to win 60 games, be the conference number 1 seed. They didn't expect this team to do the things that this team has did this past season. They was hoping that this team will be somewhere between 7 and 10 because their focus was on developing the young talent. And I say this all the time when teams, when front offices who really don't care about this season as much as they lead on to, they just want this season to be a development season, and we'll see what happens after that. That's dangerous because when you have a superstar player on your team, like the Pistons having Cade Cunningham, winning matters. Playoff matters. Advancing in the playoffs matters. Throwing the season away to develop the young talent, that doesn't matter. And we heard that a lot about the Detroit Pistons front office. They were not expecting the Pistons to be as good they were this year. They want to focus on developing the young talent, mainly Ausar Thompson. They want to develop him. They want to be able to work on his shot because they feel that he is the key that will unlock this team. They feel that he is the missing link. The problem with that was that the Pistons win a lot of ball games. The problem was that your all-star superstar player was on a mission along with everybody else on that team who wanted a piece at the Knicks because of the way they left and the way they played and the way they were embarrassed last season. So when you come into this season, you want to develop players, but yet this team is winning a lot of ball games. That will sway, that would detour the direction that you headed in. And look, I know everybody been giving JB Bickerstaff a lot of grief, a lot of hate, but let me tell you something right now. JB Bickerstaff did a hell of a job. He did what he was supposed to do as head coach, motivate these guys, get these guys to play good basketball, and believe in these guys. He was able to take a young team like this, who was not expected to win a lot of ball games, according to the front office personnel at the Pistons. Where the front office hoping to win 48, 49 ball games, JB got this team to win in 60. He led a team that has below average shooting, young people who were playing out of position as far as they were missing assignments, and veteran players nobody didn't want. Look, nobody wants Tobias Harris. It was already told before he even left Philadelphia, with 2 or 3 months left into the season, with the last season with the Sixers. There was already rumors that he's going to go to Detroit. Other than that, there was no other offers for Tobias Harris. This season was supposed to be a development season. This season was about getting Ausar Thompson to be a better offensive player. This season was about getting Ron Holland some more playing time so he become a better player. This season was about. JB had different ideas. Now, it was reported, shout out to Locked On Pistons, when they said, there was no friction at all between JB and Trajan Langdon. They were on the same page. But JB felt, hey, I can get this team to 60. I can get this team play good. I can get this team to the postseason. We can make some noise. He was an advocate of Jalen Duren. He stuck by Jalen Duren. We all want Jalen Duren to sit down because he was playing bad. He was playing horrible. He stuck with him. He was able to get Jalen Duren to play at an all-star level. That's JB Bickerstaff. To all the fans who want JB fired, who call him trash, y'all owe that man an apology because he got that young man to play. Things change. Plans change. Everything gets messed up because on one hand, you want to develop one of your top players, and two, you have a superstar player, And you got veteran players on this team who don't want to wait for a development, who wants to win right now. And you got a head coach like that, yo, we got to win right now. And that's what happened. Ausar Thompson development had been pushed to the side because the team was winning games. This team was in first place of the Eastern Conference, first place in their division. This team was playing great basketball. This team was playing hard every night. This team was winning had what, a 13 game, 14, 15 game winning streak. Out of the blue, this team was not satisfied of just want to be one of the teams that's going to battle for a play-in spot or winning 49 ball games and say, you know what, we met expectation. Get to the first round, we lost. Okay, we expected that. No, this team had different ideas than what the front office want. The Detroit Pistons right now are in a situation where two things can be right at the same time in this situation. Ausar Thompson has to be developed. And the Pistons need to win ball game because you got a superstar player you paying $50 million. He is not going to take a back seat to development. He wants to win. He wants to win championships. So to view the Pistons, all hands on deck when it comes to roster building, developing your players, and appeasing your superstar player and your fan base. Ausar Thompson is going to get paid. Jalen Duren is going to get paid. They both are eligible for a contract extension. Ausar is going to have to get an offensive game in which the development that was already happening this season, if you paid attention to the first 10, 15 games of the season, he was handling the ball more. A lot of pressure was going with Cade Cunningham. When he had the ball, the offense was on the flow. Plays was running right through him. They want to see more of that. I believe that's going to happen. They broke down his shot. So his mechanics going to look different for this coming season coming up. So I do believe that his offensive game, just by that breaking the shot down, is going to prove. How much, we don't know. But because they stop his development, because they stop him, say, hey, look, we don't need you shooting threes, we don't need you to focus on your offense, we need you to do this. And with that, let's be one of the best defensive players in the league. That's that young man's superpower. That's how that young man gonna get his money contract extension right now from the Pistons, because his superpower is better than anyone other than Wemby in the NBA. And that young man is one of the best defensive players in basketball. This young man has opportunity to be one of the best two-way players in basketball when that offense gets developed. And me, I'm a big opponent of it. Just don't start during the season. It starts right now in the off season. It's about putting that work in the off season when you broke down his shot and now you got to rebuilding it. Is that putting that time in the off season, him shooting over 100 shots from everywhere around the basketball court. It's about showing and watching his tapes of his old shot and what he needs to improve on, whether it's the mechanics of it, brings elbows in, or whether give a light touch. But it's not just about the three-point shot. It's also about when you see him, when he try to post up, shoot a little fadeaway, it look nice, but a little too much art. It's about working on that. It's about tapping into this young man's potential and unlocking it. Because if the Pistons believe that this young man is, if he develops to the player they believe that he can be, this is the guy that they believe is that next option behind Cade Cunningham, and that will unlock the Detroit Pistons, and that it will take them to places that they want to go. That's how much faith that this front office believe in Ausar Thompson. That's how much faith they believe him. They know they can do it. They know that potential is there. That's why they wanted this season to be a development season for him. Mainly for him. With Jalen Duren, it's a little difficult because he was eligible contract extension last year. They didn't want to pay him. They wanted to prove it. And Jalen Duren had one of the best regular season he ever had. The man averaged almost 20 points per game and pulled down over 10 rebounds per game. Most of those were we seen him. A lot of those were from lobs from Cade Cunningham, but we also seen Jalen Duren taking players off the dribble. We see him getting his own shot. We see him create plays for other players on the team. But then the playoffs happened. And he got hit a dose of reality about playoff basketball. And that reality is what you do best, teams taken away. And teams have taken that away from him. He's going to have to go this offseason and develop a jump shot. I always say that if Jalen Duren, because he is big, he is strong, he is young. If I'm the Pistons, if I'm Jalen Duren, not only I'm working on my shot and develop a jump shot, I am watching every tape of Alonzo Mourning because Alonzo Mourning was a big, strong guy, nasty and mean, but he had a jump shot, and he was one of the best defensive bigs in basketball when he played. Defense was his superpower as well. And he backed that up with some good offense. If I'm Jalen Duren, I'm watching Alonzo Mourning because both of these guys are kind of like the same. Both of these guys, and built-wise. Jalen Duren might be a little taller, but he has that nasty in him. He has that dog in him like Zoe. And if he develop a jump shot, Jalen Duren can go places. Now, the question is, what the Pistons is going to pay him? It's been reported by the Athletic that the Pistons have no desire to get him the max contract. So with Jalen Duren, it's tricky because you don't want to offend a young man with a bad contract offer. You want to pay him his market price value. And when you look at a lot of the centers in the league, the one he played, Jared Allen makes $30 million. To me, I think Jalen Duren is better than Jared Allen because he has a higher ceiling than Jared Allen. Maybe you pay him $32, maybe you pay him $33 or $34, but you definitely don't pay Jalen Duren $40. He's not a $40 million player yet. He is not a max player yet. He is not a face of the franchise type player yet. He is a piece. He is a very important piece. But committing $40+ million to Jalen Duren would be a big mistake. And I know the Pistons are not going to do that. But you pay him in a range between 30 and 35. I think around there is good. You had that flexibility. You committed to him long term. And basically you telling Jalen Duren, we signed to this 5-year deal. It's not a max. If you want a max contract from us, you have to go out here and prove it these next 5 years. Not just in the regular season, but postseason play. Like his teammate Ausar Thompson, who's going to get paid a lot of money, but he won't get a max deal. But I do believe that he'll get more money than Jalen Duren just because what was said by the Kenny Atkinson, the Cleveland Cavaliers head coach. and what was reported by what the Cleveland Cavaliers said, it is that whatever side the best ball is on, if Ausar Thompson is on that side, go the other way. This young man shut down one side of the court. One side of the court. Okay, he's that big of a game changer. Jalen Duren needs to be that way. He needs to be a game changer, but he has to do it on both sides of the ball because if you've seen the game, Jared Allen, whoever was JD was on, they was going at him and they was taking it to him. They did the same thing to Tobias Harris. They watched the tape and they studied that tape and they noticed something that the Pistons couldn't even make an adjustment on, and they kept going at JD. They kept going at Isaiah Stewart. They was going at Tobias Harris. They was going at Duncan Robinson. They was going at every Piston player except for Cade Cunningham and Ausar Thompson. Everybody else was getting the business. Now, Cade was tired. Cade had 13 points. He was dead tired. Now, we can say maybe that's from the lung injury stuff, or maybe, he was tired from carrying his team as much as he did this postseason. I think both statements are right. So as I said that, what moves can the Pistons make? You heard Tranger Langdon came out and said he's going to try to keep this core together. And that core also part of Tobias Harris. I feel that the Pistons need to make, I'm not going to say drastic moves, but they can't come back with the same team. You can't come back with the same team at all. You have to upgrade at the 4 position. You need to get a stretch forward, whether that's Laurie Marketing or Trey Murphy. I don't know, but you need to have an upgrade. You need a guy at the stretch 4 position that can give buckets for Cade Cunningham. You need a guy at the shooting guard position that can give you flat out buckets. The Pistons also can use another 2-way player. They need another shutdown wing, a guy from the wing position. Opposite of Ausar Thompson. They need a guy like that. They got a lot of needs on this team. They might need a new backup center because we don't know what's going to happen to Isaiah Stewart because he didn't have a good postseason. We don't know what's going to happen with Danis Jenkins. We don't know what's going to happen with Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert, Paul Reed, Javonte Green, Ron Holland. We don't know. This offseason, I can say, is pivotal for Ron Holland because he has to show that he is heading in the right direction. If I'm Ron Holland, I would take it personal, the fact that I didn't play this much in this postseason, the first 2 rounds. My energy was not needed. My coach didn't play me because he didn't trust me to go out here and make the necessary plays. He didn't trust me because my shot didn't look good or doesn't look good. If I'm Ron Holland, I take that personal and I take all that to this offseason and work my ass off and come back as a different player. You see, the Pistons had to go to Marcus Sasser, their best shooter, but wasn't getting a lot of playing time. They had to go to him. If I'm Jalen Duren, I'll take it personal that I was getting subbed out. I got subbed out of the 4th quarter and the overtime because my play was horrendous. And I know that he feels really bad about that because if you watch him at the end of the game, my man was holding back tears. He was holding back everything because he know that because of his play contributed to this team losing to the Cleveland Cavaliers because he didn't show up. He didn't show up from Orlando. He only showed up for 2 games. If you're a player on that team, that's Ausar Thompson and Cade Cunningham, you might be worried about if you be on the team next year. Again, the Pistons got a lot to do. They gonna have to decide which players they want to re-sign back or which players to get rid of because they want to put the right team around Cade Cunningham. And it's a hard look in the mirror for this front office because when the fan base was out here crying for make some moves at the trade deadline, they decided to stand pat. That was an unpopular decision that they made. And by standing pat, this is what you get. You get a team at their worst moment play their worst game. See, it was nothing that JB Bigstaff could have done. He could have called a timeout. He could have motivated this team. He could say anything he wanted in that huddle. This was going to happen. It was meant to happen. And it was nothing he can do about it. And that's the worst thing about this whole thing, where when you can't help your team, you've done everything you can. You exhausted every idea that you have. And it's still nothing happened. Your team stung up the joint. Now, I'm going to flip that and say congratulations to the Cleveland Cavaliers winning and beating Detroit Pistons. I know today, as I'm doing this show, they play the New York Knicks. I expect that series to go 6 or 7. I have no dog in the fight, but I do believe that the Knicks are going to go to the NBA Finals. I think Cleveland is going to give them a good series, a good run, a good scare. I just think the Knicks are a better team. Even if the Pistons got past the New York Knicks, I will still see the Knicks in 6 or 7 because I just think the Knicks are playing some of the best basketball they played all season, and they're playing at the right time. I know a lot of people are saying, hey, the NBA champions are going to come out the West between OKC and San Antonio. I'm not the one to say that yet because I think New York has a team that can beat both teams. And look, no matter what, how much I make fun of New York Knicks, they have one of the best rosters in basketball. And they have one of the best shooting big men in basketball. And they have one of the best clutch players in basketball. And right now, those guys are clicking. And if they continue this and they get to the finals, it won't be an easy cakewalk for OKC or San Antonio because the Knicks can win it and upset that team, any one of those teams. So with that said, to our Piston fans, all the Piston fans out there, who do you want this team to draft? Who do you want this team to approach in the trade market? Because free agency is not that strong this year. There are really no top-notch free agents unless you want LeBron James. And you know, LeBron James has his pickings of teams he want to play for. James Harden, all for sure, is going back to Cleveland. So who you want? I mean, this is the free agent list consists of LeBron James, Zach LaVine, Trae Young is going to resign back with the Wizards. James Harden, like I stated, will be resigning back with Cleveland unless something changes. CJ McCollum, Chris Middleton, Kristaps Porzingis, Isaiah Hartenstein, Andrew Wiggins, Tobias Harris, John Collins, Draymond Green, Anthony Simmons, Fred VanVleet, Jonathan Kuminga, Contavious Pope, Vucevic, Harrison Barnes, Norman Powell, Colin Sexton, Nurkic, Zach Collins, Rudy Hachimura, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Lou Dort, Kevin Huerter, Mitchell Robinson, Austin Reeves, Kelly Olynyk, Robert Williams III, Kobe White, Matisse Thybulle, Mo Wagner, Maxi Kleber, Luke Kennard, Gabe Vincent, Brooke Lopez, Quinn Grimes, Kelly Aubrey Jr., DeAndre Ayton, Kevin Looney, Ben Mathurin, Ayo. The list goes on and on and on. So this free agent class is not that strong. So you the Pistons, it looks like you will be dependent on the trade market to trade for unhappy players or players who have big contracts and teams just want to get them off the books, those contracts off the books. So the trade market is going to be vital for the Pistons. This year's draft, I say it's probably like 15, 17 deep. The Pistons picked 21st due to the trade they made with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't know, man. Right now they got them taking the point guard out of Iowa, and which he is a nice player. He's a shooter. His name is Ben Stitz. He's a hell of a shooter. He's a good shooter. And he doesn't feel the need for the Pistons, but I do believe the Pistons need a two-way player. I mean, whether it's at the 4 position, the 5 position, or at the wing position. They also need a secondary ball handler. Now, I say this, Danis Jenkins is another version of Jaden Ivey, but he was playing at a higher level than Jaden Ivey. That's why Jaden Ivey got traded. Because Danis Jenkins outplayed Jaden Ivey in the same style that Jaden Ivey played. I did say that, and I still believe this. If Jaden Ivey would never got hurt, if his mind was right, the Pistons beat Cleveland. I can go as far as say if he was right and his mind was right and his health was right, they beat New York last season. But if Jaden Ivey was right, and if he was balling, the Pistons beat Cleveland. That's just my take on that. So there's a lot of things the Pistons have to do this offseason. I don't know what Trajan Lang is going to do. I don't know what he's thinking. But he can't sit idle. He can't. And again, he has to improve this team around Cade Cunningham. If he can, I'll resign Malik Beasley ASAP. But this is what is so good about the off season, because we get to sit here and we get to speculate. We get to see and break down the draft and see which player might fall to our teams. This is what I love about basketball or just sports in general. It's all season. Just to see what the GMs or the team president are thinking, what moves they're going to make, which player going to come to this team, which player is going to get traded, which player going to get signed. But I will say this right now to everybody who wants the Pistons to get Devin Booker, that Booker's not coming here. Devin Booker in his last 2 years of contract is owed $68 and $69 million. That's a grand total of $137 million he's going to be owed the last 2 years of the deal he had, because he signed a 2-year extension. Devin Booker is not leaving Phoenix, and Devin Booker is not coming to Detroit. How much we know that Devin Booker is the perfect fit, is the guy that needs to come to Detroit, he's not coming to Detroit. I would love Devin Booker to come here and team up with Cade Cunningham and Ausar Thompson and with Jalen Duren, but he is not walking through that door. You guys gonna have to look at somebody else. I almost said we, but no, it's y'all, because I don't know who's the right player after Devin Booker should come here. Maybe it is Michael Porter Jr. Maybe it is Lauri Markkanen. Maybe it is Trey Murphy. I don't know. Maybe we go sign an AU. Maybe we go get a Norman Powell or Andrew Wiggins. I don't know, but that is something the front office is going to have to identify, and that is something that they get paid to do. I know Cade Cunningham's going to take a lot of heat from everybody with the way he played in this game 7, and that's duly noted because you're the best player. People always going to look at the best player. Cade Cunningham did a lot for this team. He has kept this team afloat, and I just honestly believe he just ran out of gas. And I honestly believe that he did all he could. All he could. I know he's expecting some help, and I know he's expecting this team to be better than they were this year, be better next year. And I know he also expects his team to make a deep run in the postseason next season. So again, it's up to Trajan Langdon to make the right moves and bring in the right players in. However, I will say you do resign Tobias Harris. You make a recommitment to Duncan Robinson. You make a commitment to Danis Jenkins and to Kerselberg. But you add to the roster. If you had to subtract some guys, that's fine. That's fine. But again, I would love to see Malik Beasley with this squad again. And I would love to see Tim Hardaway with this squad again. I would love to see all the guys who was on the team last year, even Dennis Schroeder. I would love to see him back on this team, but I know that's not going to happen. But I do believe that the Pistons need to upgrade their talent. They need to upgrade at the 4 position, upgrade at the 5 position, upgrade at the 2 position. And most of that upgrades will come internally, but also they have to go out in free agency and be aggressive. Just don't sign a guy who feels the need that, hey, he's a shooter, he'll come in and make about 2 or 3 points a game. No, sign a guy who is going to be your second option in scoring. Sign a guy who has the potential to be a two-wing player. That's what you do. I will be giving more details in depth throughout season not just on the NBA, but on the Pistons and other teams as well. Yeah, man. I'm not shocked, but I'm just more like, wow. I can't believe it came out and played that way. Why would you do that to yourselves? Y'all deserve better. They deserve better than that. NBA news. I told everybody about Jason Kidd. I said Billy Donovan is the top candidate for another manager job. Congratulations to SGA on winning his second MVP. Shams broke that right before the game started on Amazon Prime. I know Blake Griffin and the crew was not happy with that, but Shams get paid to break news. He get paid by his employers at ESPN to break breaking news. Don't hold on to it just because Amazon Prime wants to tell everybody win MVP. He gets paid to do his job, and he did it. And yeah, that's about it for the show, everybody. Hey, listen, again, make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and comment on the show. Sorry for yawning. I've been going at it all day today. Drink some hot tea, and I will talk to you guys later on. I can't say go Pistons because they are out of the playoffs, but what I can say is that tune in for the Knicks and the Cavaliers game. Make sure you watch it. Good basketball action. We seen it yesterday. Start with OKC in San Antonio in overtime, doubled 122-115. Got the conference finals into a good start. So make sure you tune in tonight for the Eastern Conference Finals and tomorrow for the Western Conference Finals. And stay tuned for some more breaking news with me throughout this week because I will be breaking some. So everybody, enjoy your day. If you're a Knicks fan, if you're a Cavs fan, cheer for your team. This is DS Walk's WDR Podcast. I'm your host, DS Walk, and I'll talk to everybody later. Peace.